Hello. I want to start by saying that I am a very, very amateur electrician, so take everything I say with a grain of salt and don't burn your house down. But I learned pretty much everything off of YouTube if I don't know how to do it, and I didn't find any information on any YouTube video, Reddit board, anything I looked for on how to wire a four-way Feit Smart Dimmer circuit. And after a lot of toiling, I kind of figured it out, and I figured I'd share it. And if you want to try it out, then great. If not, keep searching. But this is, as far as I know, the only video on YouTube that explains how to wire a Feit, F-E-I-T. I don't know if it's Feit or Feit or what. Smart dimmer, purchased at Costco in a 2-pack. Had no issue with single pole, no issue with the 3-way, but the 4-way was a little tricky. And really, the wiring diagram was pretty clear. I just thought of it as a 3-way switch, and I kept wiring it up as such, and kept falling on my face. And finally, I just sat and stared at the wiring schematic and had kind of an aha moment. I think if I would have had an internal diagram of the functioning of the Feit switch, I probably would have figured it out faster. But it took me a couple days. I kind of let the switches hang out of the wall and just kept coming back to it, and finally figured it out. But step one is always identify your line and your load side. Well, step one is turn off your breaker and don't fry yourself. But step one of wiring it is to identify your line and your load. So let me go ahead and turn this camera around here. Figures I can't switch it. All right. So this is my line in side right here. I don't know if you can see it, but the electrical power comes in on this cable, and then the travelers are here. These two red wires, the red wire and the black wire. The second switch in my circuit the original electrician actually wired these switches where the light that's on that side is this way and the light that's on this side is this way. I just can't stand stuff like that. But anyhow, it's fixed now. So here's the second switch. Now, I thought that I was gonna have to put a 4-way switch here. And I did that a couple of times and tried that, and it just basically killed power to the third switch. And these dimmers need constant power, both for their smart function and basically their functionality, period. I mean, they won't function unless they have constant power, and that was the thing I kept trying to do. I was splicing line wires and trying to run it, but this is the second connection. So here's my line in and line out to the next switch, the third switch, which also has the load. Let's see if I've got it here, yeah. And then here's my two travelers. So traveler in, traveler out, and then neutral wires. And I connected the neutral to this switch because I put a smart one in here too. So disregard this switch though, because that's another circuit entirely. So anyway, we're gonna go over to the third switch where the load also happens to be. And here's the third and final switch. Now, I'll just tell you a simple rule. After I finally figured this out, you basically only want a load wire coming out on the last switch in the circuit where the load actually is. So the first two switches, the line in, the second switch, and then they won't have a wire coming out of the load terminal. You're basically going to connect the blacks on the ACL side and the reds on the YLRD side. So basically, if it's red, it goes in the YLRD. In the center, you're gonna have 2 and 2. So the second switch, you'll have 2 reds and 2 blacks. And then the neutrals are easy. They're all spliced together. So you just splice them and hook them in. And then the only switch that has a load coming out is the final switch where the load is. And that's where the light is right there, the wire. It's going out. So the mistake I made was to try and wire these things up like a 3-way switch. And the best I can say is the engineers must have thought of a smarter electronic way to route electricity and make these things function than a mechanical switch. And if you just think of it in terms of just running a wire to connect the thing, like connecting like a series of computers basically, then it'll become immediately clear to you how these things function. So again, here's the first switch in the circuit. Red traveler, line in, line out basically to the next switch. As you can see, like I said, there's no load in the load terminal. And then, yeah, sorry, I used a black wire in my neutral, but it's my house, so I'm gonna do what I want. Let's see. So here you go again. Red in, red out, black in, black out. Nothing in the load terminal. Neutral's hooked up. I used 2 neutrals because I connected the 2 switches together. You never want any copper exposed here, obviously. I don't know if I have to say that, but make sure that you strip the wires the length that's recommended on the back of the switch and push them all the way in and tighten them all the way down. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And then again, just to repeat, last switch, load out. That's the only one in the 4-way circuit that has the load out, is the 3rd switch where the load is. And all the power is connected on this terminal right here. So if your line comes in like, say, your middle switch, which I don't think would ever happen, but you know, anything's possible. Anywhere that there's constant electricity flowing needs to go in the ACL, and then anywhere there's a traveler needs to go into the YLRD. And then the only thing that gets connected to the load ever is the light or the fan or whatever it is. Well, it probably would be a fan if it's on a dimmer switch, but that's it. So as far as I know, this is the only video on YouTube that tells how to do a 4-way wiring of these circuits. Now, whether you can continue to daisy chain them like this, if it's like a 5-way, 6-way, etc., I don't know. I've only now done a 4-way, and it worked beautifully. Like I said, I originally tried to put a 4-way switch in the middle, and all it did was kill power to the load side. So just do 3 smart dimmers: red to YLRD, black to ACL, white to ACN, and the only time anything comes out of the load is the light, and it's easy after that. And they all dim and turn on in sync, and it's a beautiful system. So they did a good job designing it. It's just don't try to overthink it like I did. Like as soon as you realize, I don't know if you've ever toiled over this, but as soon as you realize how it works, you feel like an idiot like I did. So good luck. Don't burn your house down. Again, I'm an amateur, so take my advice with a grain of salt, and good luck.